Alright, welcome back to second chapter. We're here at the Herb Royal Villa on a request to pick up a missing child, or a child who has lost their parents. Now this quest, interestingly, has some weird bracer point nonsense going on with it. Oh dear, oh dear. The bracers will be here any minute. Where could she have gone? Hello? Oh, yes. May I ask you what you... Wait, you're... Hello? I guess you remember us. How could I forget? We all owe you greatly for what you did at the villa. And wait, that's... Is something wrong, sir? Or no. No, I'm mistaken. You just look like someone I know, miss. Oh, do I remind you of your girlfriend, perhaps? No, not at all. So, I take it you were the team Elnan said would be coming. Yeah, that's right. Is everything okay, though? You seem kinda troubled. It's about that lost child, actually. She's, how to put this? Lost again. She told me, let's play hide and seek, and just vanished. I've been looking for her ever since. Oh, crap. I'll find her soon, I swear. Please, wait in the lounge. You know where that is, right? Well, yeah, I do, but... You look like you're having some trouble. You sure you don't want a hand? Are you sure? I don't want to impose. It's a bit late for us to back out now anyway. If you could give us her name and description, we'll look for the girl. Thank you. She's a preteen girl wearing a white frilly dress and a black hair ribbon. She never gave me a name, though. You didn't find out her name? Seriously? She wouldn't tell me. Every time I asked, she just said, it's a secret. I think she came in with her family, but I couldn't find her parents or anyone who knew her. My only option was to call you in the end. I see. Hide and seek, huh? Energetic little girl you got there. Not sure I'd say energetic. Precocious and whimsical is more like it. I got the distinct impression she was enjoying toying with the adults around her. Oh, a prank-loving kitten then. Yes, exactly. Where could she have gotten off to? I'm fairly sure she hasn't left the building, but... In other words, we must search the entire building, including the courtyard. A perfect place for a game of kitten and mouse. I will wait in the lounge then. When you find her, please bring her there. Will do. Did he just stop at the edge of the screen? You wouldn't have seen that if this game wasn't in 16:9. Okay, let's hunt down a kitten. A child. So, white dress, black hair ribbon. I can't imagine she'll be all that hard to find in an outfit like that. I'm eager to see what kind of girl she is. Let's start to look around, shall we? Alright, save this frickin' game. Yeah, there is weird bracer point nonsense with this quest. I remember this on my first playthrough, and I was just reading about it in the Game Facts guide, and I was like, oh yeah. There's some weird BS where it's like, being too thorough in your search hurts you or something? I don't frickin' know. So let's go on over here. I've kind of forgotten how to do this, to be honest. So let's see here. There are like a multiple places you can check, and I think they're all here on like this side of the villa. So let's see. We want to hit up, give me a moment here. Alright, so first, let's go inside, I think this very first room. Yep, it's done. He's late! Too late, I say. Curse you, Philip. How much time does it take to purchase a magazine and some donuts? Blast it! How long does he intend to keep me... Hey! Oh. You! Oh, didn't I see this noble in the castle during the coup? Duke Dunnan, oh joy of joys. Hello, uncle. Have you been well? Have you no shame, Claudia? And you brigand! Because of you, all because of you, I have been forced into this life of shame, house arrest of all things. Okay, I don't think it's really fair to say it's our fault. You're the one who bought into Colonel Richard's plan, you know. You should be grateful you live in a kingdom as forgiving and merciful as Liberl. Were this Arabonia, your nobility would only serve to speed you to the gallows. I confess that imprisoning Her Majesty was out of line, perhaps. Richard may have suggested it, but I should have gainsaid him. So you actually admit you were wrong about that whole deal? That's pretty humble, coming from you. Do not misunderstand me. I love and respect Her Majesty. As both a ruler and as an aunt, she is utterly above reproach. But you, Claudia! But to consider naming a little girl like you as her successor is simply madness. Unacceptable insanity. Now just a second. Chloe's smart, studious, kind, merciful. She's got all kinds of virtues that attract people to her. Where do you get off in calling her a little girl, huh? Estelle, that's enough. I've always admitted that I'm not ready to take the throne. I suppose it's only natural my uncle finds that unpleasant. But Chloe, you always did have some sense at the very least. But you, Claudia, have always seemed allergic to attending public ceremonies. I am far better known amongst the citizenry, while you remained a veritable ghost. You have not once publicly demonstrated that you are ready to stand above the others. Why, from what I understand, you hide your true identity while living as a student. And as if that weren't enough, you even waste your time at some backwater orphanage. She should be presiding over the common rabble at ceremonies, not wallowing in the mud with them. That is the purpose of nobility, to stand above all other men in lordship. It's as you say, Uncle. I'll admit, I don't really know much about the purpose of nobility, so you might have a point. Of course I do. But I can say this. Chloe is trying her very hardest to figure out what she wants to be, and is helping us out in the middle of her own problems. And she sure as hell is doing a lot more than some duke who sits around doing nothing because he's under house arrest. What? You dare? Estelle. Uncle Dunnan, I'm trying as hard as I can to find my own path as I help Estelle. I think by the end of it all, we will know if I have the right to become the next queen or not. So please, hold your judgment until then. What? This is absurd. I will deal with this no further. Be gone. Trust me, I don't want to stick around. Though come to think of it, I need to. I gotta ask one thing. Has a girl in a white dress come by here? What are you talking? No little girls have come by. Be gone. Yeah, sure. Enjoy your donuts or whatever. Pardon us. I'm fighting the urge to strangle that guy. He's all acting like he's the most innocent person in the world while insulting Chloe at the same time. No, his criticism was fairly reasonable, I think. His concept of nobility is perhaps outdated, but he is correct about the qualities one must possess to lead. But wait, I'm not sure I agree with fame being a prerequisite for rightful inheritance. Countless rulers in days past were unknown upon their ascent, and still have performed great works during their respective reigns. Arabonia had one such man. After the deaths of all potential heirs due to civil war, one unsung hero took the throne in their stead. That man is now hailed as the emperor who returned Arabonia to its former glory. That was Emperor Dreikel's, correct? The very same. My point is thus, you have nothing to worry about, Princess. Maybe. He still has a point about my readiness, however. To tell you the truth, I'm glad we met him here. I think I've gained a new sense of what I'm lacking. Well, I'm glad you got something positive out of it. Anyway, shall we find us a lost girl? Yes, let's. Oh boy, that's one heck of a scene. That scene is why I was very careful in making sure I took the right people to the villa. And I was like, no, I need to bring Ollie and I need to bring Chloe. For one, obviously you don't get that same scene if Chloe isn't when you see Dunnan. And two, I really wanted Ollie's input there about Emperor Dreikel's in Arabonia. That is a name that comes up in the Arabonian arc quite a bit. And because I, as well as a lot of other people, played this series ass backwards, because there was no one there to yell at me to not play Trails of Cold Steel first, which was a big mistake. But because I had that experience first, when the first time I played this scene, I can't remember who I brought. I think I did have Chloe, but I didn't have Ollie. And I got that conversation, and Dunham went on about nobility. And knowing what I know about Erebonia, I was like, fuck, I'm going to reload my save. I'm going to bring Olivier to this conversation because I want to hear what he has to say if he's going to chime in. And sure enough, he does. And what he says rocks. Oh, it's such a freaking Trails fanboy moment to see that. There's a large dining table. Maybe she's hiding under here? Yeah, didn't think so. Putting that aside, bending over in your current outfit may not be wise, Estelle. Huh? How to put this delicately? Your unmentionables are now quite mentionable. Excuse me? He's right, Estelle. You're wearing a skirt, remember? Right. You also probably don't get Ollie being as cheeky as he just is right there. Alright, I'm gonna save again. God, this is so stupid. Alright, give me 1 minute to make sure that I don't overdo my search. Okay, the way this might work is, man, this is so dumb and unclear. So I think the way it works is that, you lose, like, points or something for every place you check and fail. So the best way to get the maximum bracer score might to be immediately go to where the kid is. So I will load back to right after the done-in scene and just go to the correct spot. There are a lot of places you can check. There's that table. There's the room with the large vases, if you remember that. You can check under these benches here in the courtyard. But the correct location is not this room. The one next door. Right here. If I can... There we go. Estelle checked under the counter, just in case. Hey! Something the matter? You could say that. Meow. Aw, I lost. What the? Aren't you the girl we met at Erledden? I thought it might be you, Ren. Hello, miss. I'm happy you remembered me. Goodness, I wasn't expecting her to be an acquaintance of yours. So your name is Ren, right? That's right. Sorry for keeping it a secret, mister. Don't worry. But Ren, why did you run off and play hide and seek like that? I was worried. Because I heard Miss Estelle was coming. I wanted to play hide and seek with her, so I worked really hard to find a nice hiding spot. Well, okay. It's kind of incredible you knew it was us coming, though. You said you're bracers, right? I heard some bracers would be coming. We are, yeah, but we're not the only bracers in the world, you know? It could have been someone else. But I believed. I knew you'd be the ones who'd come. And see, you did. I guess I can't argue against that logic. Well, putting that aside, where did your mother and father go? Why were you playing all alone? Wow, miss, your clothes are funny. Don't you get cold with your belly out like that? You get used to it. I'm very but that's not the point. About your parents. And your skin is so dark. You're from the south across the sea, right? Are you really okay with how cold it gets here? I traveled all over as a performer with the circus, so yes. I'm fine in heat or cold. More to the point. Would you mind telling us what happened to your parents, Ren? Aw, okay. So where did Papa and Mama go? I'm not so sure either. Wait, you don't know? Not at all. I came here with Papa and Mama to play, but after lunch, Papa gave me a real serious look and said, Ren, Papa has something important to do, so he and Mama have to say goodbye for now. But don't worry, once it's done, we'll come and get you. Be a good girl until Papa comes back, alright? They just... What the hell? I'm already 11, so I said, I'll be good, Papa. And after that, Papa and Mama left. Well, this is quite a bit worse than I imagined it would be. I certainly wasn't expecting something like that. What should we do? This seems to be quite a bit beyond just finding her parents at this point. Yeah, tell me about it. Shara, you think we should... You don't even need to ask. I'd never leave her here like this. Don't worry, Raymond. We'll take care of this girl for now. Hey, Ren, do you want to visit the Capital's Bracer Guild with us? I bet we'll be able to find your papa and mama easy peasy. Really? But Papa and Mama said they had something important to do and to wait here. It's okay, we'll definitely find them. Trust in Mrs. Stell, okay? Okay then, I'll go with you. Thank you, Mrs. Stell. It's okay, sit close by though, Ren. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Phew, thank you again. Take good care of her. Don't worry, you can leave this to us. So let's get back to the guild house. Do we get transported? No, we do not. We actually have to walk back there with Ren. Okay. Yeah, so hopefully doing it the way I just did, to where I don't actually conduct the search, means that I get the maximum bracer score, but unfortunately there's no way to know until literally the end of the chapter, because all of these like hardline story ones don't get reported until the chapter's over. So the maximum score is supposed to be 7. It's supposed to be 7 points for this mission. So hopefully I get that. This might have also been how I ultimately came a few points short of the maximum score. It's very, very weird and specific. How very Falcom. Am I going the right way? Yeah, this works. This should connect back to the path that goes up towards Grand Cell. Yep, there's Grand Cell right there. Perfect. Ah, yes, you are. Who is talking? Oh, what's up, Philip? Huh? Oh my, Philip. How have you been? Your concerns does me too much credit, Your Highness. I hope you and Mrs. Stell are well. Have you been to the villa recently? We have, actually. You were, busy in the capital, I take it. Yes, I was making some purchases on the orders of His Highness the Duke. Did you perchance encounter His Highness while you were at the villa? We encountered him, all right. We wanted to be nice and say hello. It's been some time since the, unpleasantness. From your expressions, I take it he said something thoughtless to you once again. As his retainer, you have my utmost apologies. Oh, you don't need to apologize for him, Philip. I have to admit, I was a little worried when I'd heard he was placed under house arrest. He seems to be taking it well, however. It is kind of you to say so. Now I fear I must be off, if you'll pardon me, Your Highness. Guess Philip's job is even harder now. He's been taking care of Dunnan since Dunnan was young, right? He's been Dunnan's retainer for the past 20 years, from what grandmother tells me. I believe he was a member of the Royal Guard before then. Wait, really? Philip? Wow, guess you really can't judge by the looks. Huh? You really shouldn't underestimate him. Even I can tell he's not just any old guy. Huh? What do you mean, Ren? Oh, you know, like how he can walk with his eyes closed. I sure couldn't do that. I think they're just narrowed, Ren, not closed. I mean, you noticed how he opens his eyes when surprised, right? Really? I didn't. I want to see. Maybe I can get a good look if I surprise him next time. Children. Though to be fair, I would say the Trails series does a pretty good job of actually writing kids. Some of my favorite kids in video games actually come from Trails. Young characters tend to actually like work out pretty well, and they're not just stupid idiots. I'm thinking of one stupid idiot in a JRPG that people actually like, but I hate that kid. Can you guess who it is? Alright, let's go report into Elnan. Cutscene. Okay, let's get back to the guild. We need to talk to Elnan about Ren. That's very important, yes, but the army should be sending their contacts soon. You didn't forget, of course. Oh, Stell. Huh? What's wrong? You said you're going to show me to this guild place, right? Well, milady, please lend me your hand. I, Olivier Lindheim, shall have the honor of escorting you. No, thank you. I'd rather Mrs. Stell show me. My disappointments are ceaseless. Sorry, Olivier, no luck. Come on, Ren. I'll show you to the Racer Guild. Yay! We're back, Elden. Oh. Hi, Estelle. Hello again, Miss Bright. We seem to be running into each other quite a bit these days. Well, hey there, Colonel Sid. Ah, so Cassius sent you to help us. That makes sense. You came from Leiston, I'm guessing. That's right. I just arrived here a little while ago on one of our patrol ships. I apologize for the wait. No, it's okay. We actually had a little job of our own to take care of. Speaking of which, would that young lady be? Oh, right. Yeah, she is. Some stuff went down, so we had to bring her along. Hey, Ren? We've got some things we need to talk about with the army, man. Can you wait on the second floor? Oh, is this work stuff? Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, I guess I don't mind. You're just like Papa. It's always work, work, work. I don't really like that very much. Ren, right? Do you want to talk for a little while? I want to get to know you. With you? Well, okay. I guess we could. Yay, okay. We'll be on the second floor, Estelle. Boy, Tita and Ren scenes are rough for me. Phew, saved by the Tita. Well, your report on the situation can wait for now. Let's hear out Colonel Sid first. Sure. Go ahead, Colonel. Thank you. I'm in a hurry myself. So this is an official request from the Royal Army. There's a series of incidents we'd like you to investigate. Incidents? Why does the way you say that make me shiver a bit? You're aware of the non-aggression pact, yes? I'm afraid threatening letters have been delivered to all parties involved in the signing. Someone's threatening the treaty? That's not good at all. What did the letters say exactly? Please, have a look. To all parties involved in the non-aggression pact, immediately back down from this act of deceit and false compromise. Should you not, a great disaster will be visited upon you. What in the... Well, this isn't very open to interpretation, is it? Is this the entire letter? Yes, that's the entire thing. As you may have noticed, there is no name or any other indication of a sender. Normally, I'd simply dismiss it as a prank. However, something about the situation makes you believe it's more than a bad joke, yes? Yes, it's the volume of letters sent, you see. The first arrived at Lyson Fortress. Copies were then sent to the airship company, Gransel Cathedral, Hotel Roenbaum, and the Liberal News Service. Then copies arrived at both the Erebonian and Calvert embassies, the Herb Royal Villa, and even Gransel Castle itself. 9 letters in total. Who'd send that many letters? Yeah, that'd be a lot of work for a prank in poor taste. I can see why the army would start to get concerned. It's strange though. The airship company, the Liberal News, and even the hotel and cathedral. None of these locations have anything to do with the signing, do they? They are not totally unrelated, to be honest. The airship company shall be sending out charter vessels to ferry the Imperial and Republican officials here. They will, of course, be staying at the Roenbaum. Furthermore, the church, or specifically Archbishop Current of the cathedral, has been asked to be an observer at the signing, and the Liberal News has been preparing a special report on the pact and signing for weeks. So they are all connected somehow. So do we have any idea who's behind it? That could be a difficult question to answer. This is an international matter, meaning anyone from Liberal, Herebonia, or Calvert could be responsible. Yes, the war hawks in either the Empire or the Republic for starters. It could even be someone from another country entirely, who isn't happy to see all 3 countries working together. Of course, there are plenty of suspects in Liberal as well. And we can't forget the obvious answer, the Society. So, what will we be investigating, Colonel? Right then, the mission. We would like for you to investigate all the locations that have received the letters, and see if anyone has any further leads. Minus Lyson and Herb, that is. We'll handle those. The other 7 locations are yours. So the airship company, Gransel Cathedral, Hotel Roenbaum, and the Liberal News. the Erebonian Embassy, the Calvardian Embassy, and Grand Cell Castle. That will involve a bit of walking. More to the point, uninformed soldiers asking around would attract a great deal of unwanted attention. Now that you lack an intelligence division, it makes sense to ask the guild to help investigate such matters. As embarrassing as the situation is, you're exactly right. Without a functional intelligence division, we're very limited in what we can do. However, the new general plan from the top brass is to have the guild help us with as many tasks as possible. This is simply one case of that. Oh really, thanks a heap, Dad. Now, take it as a sign of Cassius' faith in us. I must admit, it was my request to ask you, however. I've been placed in charge of the defense of the capital region until the signing ceremony. I would like as much information as I can possibly obtain in order to prepare a proper defense. Can I ask you to take this job? Oh, well, I do want to help, but we're really kinda hip deep in another case at this point. That girl, right. Let us hear your report on that situation now. Estelle explained the situation with Ren being abandoned at the Herb Royal Villa. I see, yes, and an abandoned child is a problem you cannot simply ignore. Why would anyone do such a thing? It's kind of freaking me out too. I actually met her parents once, briefly. They seem like this really thoughtful, loving couple. They adore Ren from what I saw. I have to think something really serious happened to them to make them leave her. Possibly. They may have gotten entangled in something and wanted to keep their child out of it. I do see an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, however. Huh? Ren and her parents are foreigners, remember? You'll need to inquire at the hotel and the embassies regardless. Hey, I think I know where you're going with this. Ah, and all of those places were threatened. That is rather handy, in an unfortunate way. The airship company may have travel records for them as well. I'll put out a general alert to all army posts to watch for her parents as well. Should they pass through any of the gate checkpoints, we should know. Thanks, Colonel. Sounds like you can take the job after all. Colonel, you may leave the investigation itself to us. I presume you'll want the final report in paper and in person, however. Yes, we'd prefer to avoid telephones to avoid any risk of interception. You'll be able to find me at the Herb Royal Villa beginning today, actually. I'm sorry for the extra trouble, but could I ask that you bring the final report there in person? Sure. We'll see you at the villa once we know what's up. I wish you luck then. After seeing Colonel sit out, Estelle's team decided to split up to investigate. Estelle, Zin, Olivier, and Chloe were to head to the embassies, Grand Cell Castle, and the Liberal News, while Scheherazade would investigate the cathedral, hotel, and airship company on her own. Okay, we'll be heading out. Tita, Ren, sorry to leave you two behind. Oh, it's okay. We're going out shopping. What? Sorry, Estelle. Ren really wants to visit the department store. Why, that's not how I remember things, Tita. As I recall, you were the one who said she wanted to look at all the stuffed animals. Aw, Ren. I know you're bored, Ren, but since I'm not sure when we'll find out something about your parents, I'd like for you to wait here. Oh, come on, that's not fair. Double doe-eye stares. I don't really see a problem, Estelle. If Tito's with her, it should be safe enough for them to go out shopping and around the city. I guess so. Okay, Tita, Ren, we'll be back by this evening, so you need to be back by then too, okay? And the capital's a really big place, so don't get lost. We will, and we won't. Ren, let's go. After you. See you, everyone. They sure became fast friends. Yeah, it's really easy to become friends at that age. Man, youth. I feel a little old now. Although, Tita and Ren together. Why does that combination send a chill of doom down my spine? Oh, I think they'll be fine. Tita's kind of easy to push around though. I get the feeling Ren might try to drag her into all kinds of stuff. That might be a good point. Ah yes, Elnan. Did you find out the names of Ren's parents? It took a little insistent asking, but she eventually gave them. Her father is a trader from Crossbell. Harold and Sophia Hayworth are their names. Trader from Crossbell. Harold and Sophia Hayworth. Okay, got it written down. As do I. So, let's start asking around about them and these letters. So remember, Estelle's group will visit the embassies, Grancel Castle, and the Liberal News. Zin, Olivier, we will be counting on your aid at the embassies. Fear not. My brilliant smile can open any door. We'll make sure you see the ambassadors. Your Highness, your help would be invaluable at Grancel Castle. Please introduce Estelle to whoever can best help our investigation. Of course. As for the Liberal News, I believe you yourself have an in for that, Estelle? Yeah, I can bug Niall about it. He kinda owes me at this point. And that leaves the Cathedral, the Airship Company, and the Rowanbaum. Scheherazade, good luck with those. I shouldn't have too much trouble. I'll try to be quick. So, let's go. Time to get to questioning then. Where should we start? Don't think it matters too much. If you want to go to the Calvardian Embassy, you've got a free pass with me around. I can introduce you to Elsa whenever. I, of course, can get us into the Erebonian Embassy. They should be glad to escort us if I introduce myself at the gate. And, of course, I rather doubt it'll be very hard for me to get into Grancel Castle. It might be wise to simply go straight there and speak with Grandmother. I kinda doubt the Liberal News will give us any trouble either, so let's just pick a direction and go. But first, let's check the board. One new thing, the missing exhibit. Oh, god damn it. A bit ago, one of our exhibits was removed by someone. It's not a particularly valuable item, so it's likely just a prank, but I would like to ask for an investigation just to be safe. Please come to our museum, East Block. Fucking god damn it, Blue Block. Alright, port in these two. Good work. It seems you succeeded at your objective safely. If you complete any other tasks, come report again. How did I forget? How did I forget? He's such a jackass. Stealing stuff out of the History Museum. Well, good thing we went there before he did this. Asshole. Alright, let's go over to the Liberal News first. I don't think it matters the order that I do this in, but I'll create a save file just in case. Our next chapter of Gambler Jack is actually coming up very shortly, but I shouldn't miss that. I pretty much know how to get that one. Welcome to the Liberal News Service. If you have any business with reporters, please go to the editorial room on the second floor. Hopefully Niall is in. Oh, you're the chief, editor-in-chief. Oh, Estelle. Hey, Chief, it's been a while. What do you need today? Business with Niall? Yeah, got some questions on some guild business. Is he back from Rouen yet? Yeah, he's back, but I think he stepped outside to do some coverage. Figures. He always does seem pretty busy. Well, that's our job after all. Don't know where he is, but I heard he'll be back by the evening. Okay, got it. Thanks. It would seem we should start somewhere else. Yes, this can probably be the last place we visit. I had a feeling this would be the case, and I don't think Dorothy's here either. Who are you? Noticia. If I'll be writing... Oh, she's the magazine writer, right? That we saw on the Cecilia. I think that's her. Alright, let's head over to the castle then. We'll make like a big counterclockwise sweep through Rancel. You would think that Chloe being with us is gonna be easy pickings for getting in here. I like how that one guy at the villa kind of recognized her, but couldn't put his finger on it. I guess that disguise really does work. Then again, in her her official appearances, she always wears the wig, so that's probably what's throwing him off. Say, you're the winners of the martial arts competition, right? Yeah, that's us. Thanks for your help back then. Hey, no worries. So what brings you here today? If you're here to see someone, that can certainly be arranged. Or did you just want to have a walk around the palace? That's okay too. Actually, I'm here on bracer business today. Which is to say, hello, Dan. Alitz. It's been a while. Your Highness! Princess Claudia, we were not aware you'd returned. Sorry to startle you two. I'm afraid I'm here on business, though. Estelle and I have some things in the castle to attend to. Could Could you let us pass, please? Of course, Your Highness. By your command, my lady. Wow. Only slightly popular, isn't she? Think I'm starting to get why that Duke guy is so jealous. Now entering Ladies Chloe and Estelle and their entourage. Open the gate. Please, come in. Thank you, you two. Well, Estelle, welcome back to my house, as it were. Come on in. Thanks. It's only the frickin' castle of the entire kingdom. Okay, time to nose around the castle a bit. So obviously we should talk to Queen Alicia, both to ask about the letter and just to say hi, but let's see, who else? Julia's gone, right? Yes, she's currently at Lyson Fortress, overseeing the refitting of the Arcel. Well, that's going to make things a bit harder on us. She probably could have given us a lot of help with this mess. Who else could we confer with, I wonder? With Julia absent, I think our best bet is Hilda, at least concerning Ren's parents. If the Hayworths have ever visited the castle, she would know. Yeah, Hilda kind of seems to have some sort of castle sense about these things. So where would we find them, you think? Grandmother should be in her chambers at this hour. And Hilda, if she isn't in the maid's room, they can at least tell us where she is at least. Good idea. Maid's room and the queen's chambers. Off we go. Remember Hilda? She's the one who dresses up as maid so that we could talk to Alicia. Remember when Joshua was a pretty maid? I remember. I don't remember where their chambers is. This is the kitchen or something, isn't it? Okay. What is this? This is the storage room, right? I don't think we ever went in here in first chapter. We might not have been allowed to go in here. But now we got Chloe. We can go wherever the hell we want. Or did we come in through this way when the group split up and the dudes were on their own? It was like Joshua, Zen, Olivier. Was it just those three? Am I forgetting? Oh, Agate. Agate was with them. Always forget Agate. Who cares? Get wrecked, Agate. Didn't even pick you as my partner to start the game. Where the heck is this? Is it through here? Maybe? This is the throne room. I am so lost. Why do I not know my way around Grancel Castle? This is like the fourth time I'm playing a game where I go in here. I am an idiot. I passed by this door like a million times. Mrs. Stell? And Miss Claudia? Mr. Zen too? Pardon me, it's been quite some time. It sure has. Yeah, it reminds me of when you lent me your maid uniforms, Shea. Estelle is a maid? Yeah, it was to meet with the queen. Oh, and Joshua had to wear one too. Shay did her magic on his face with her makeup. She was all pumped up to do it. Oh my. Thank you very much. Joshua, who once played the role of Princess Cecilia, so perfectly also portrayed a maidservant? Oh, noble endeavors both. I am sure it must have been quite beauteous to behold. I regret all the more I could not attend the Duke's banquet. Oh, right, Shay. Do you know where Hilda is? I believe Mistress Hilda is in the library. As I recall, she said she had something to look up. The library, got it. Okay. That was so dumb. Like, why couldn't I find the frickin' maid's quarters? I probably went into the library. Here we go. This is her. Princess Claudia and Mrs. Stell, too. Hello, Hilda. I'm sorry if I startled you, but I just got back. Hi, Hilda. Sorry I've been out of touch. It's quite all right. I'm glad to see you well. I understand the princess has been assisting you, Estelle. I'm very glad to see the two of you home safe. Aw, Hilda. You're embarrassing Estelle, Hilda. Speaking of helping Estelle, though, I've returned partially to inquire about something the guild is investigating. Could we ask you a few questions, Hilda? If I can be of any assistance, ask me anything. I think there may be a few too many onlookers to speak here, however. Let us borrow a guest room. Yes, I see. You're attending to the investigation of that letter we received then. I take it you want to know if I have any idea who the sender might be. That's it exactly. We're investigating all the locations that received letters to see if we can ferret out some clues. What a weird verb. Well, firstly, thank you for your efforts. Just receiving that letter was unsettling. I'm afraid I can be of little aid in naming suspects, however. The only thing I can say with confidence is that it is not the work of anyone in this castle. Yeah, we kind of figured on that one. Who was the letter here addressed to, out of curiosity? No less a person than Her Majesty herself. I check all letters addressed to the Queen, so I know the contents of the letter. Believe me, if I could lay hands on the rude fool who wrote that. Pardon me. I was wondering, were there any other suspicious letters delivered to the castle recently? Ones critical of royal decisions, for example? Well. Hilda, please, help us for my sake, if no one else's. We need as much information as we can in order to make a judgment. Very well. There have been several letters delivered, with no indication as to their sender. They were not particularly critical of royal decisions, per se. They were, largely, petitions to reduce or annul Colonel Richard's sentence. I suspect at least some are from citizens of Grancel, but the rest I cannot be sure on. People want Colonel Richard freed? No less than expected of the man who once strove to be my rival. His popularity endures even after his capture and shaming. The colonel was very skilled and competent, and everyone knows that. It isn't unusual at all to see people regret losing him. I would personally bet on those letters not being related to our little threat. Requesting something of the royal hand is one thing. Trying to force it to do something is a whole different thing altogether. Well, still, even knowing the letters exist helps. Oh, one more thing, Hilda. I wanted to ask you about something else. Estelle asked Hilda about the Hayworths. Harold Hayworth, a trader from Crossbell. Yes, I remember him. Say what? Is he an acquaintance of yours, Hilda? Not as such. He asked for a tour of the castle interior a few days ago. I happened to be otherwise unoccupied, so I showed him about. His wife and daughter were with him as well. Really? Hey! Alas, this provides us with a little clue as to where the Hayworths may have gone. Yes, my apologies. There was something that bothered me, however. What would that be? Their child greatly enjoyed the tour, however. Her parents felt as though they were barely even present throughout the entire thing. They seemed even-tempered and normal enough when they spoke to me, but when combined with your story, I wonder if they were under strain. Not able to pay attention after coming to see a place as a tourist. Sounds like something was on their minds, all right. Yes, it seems likely that they were in some kind of trouble even then. This may give us a clue as to where they went. Thank you very much, Hilda. I think this gave us some good leads. I'm glad I could be of help. Oh, Princess, you'll be staying here in the castle tonight, I trust. And if your friends lack accommodations... Huh? I had intended to stay here while in Grancel, yes, but, you know. Well, how about it, everyone? I believe they will want me to remain at the Erebonian Embassy this eve. I do appreciate the offer, however. Yeah, and I've got what's basically a permanent room in the Calvardian Embassy. Thanks, but I think I've got to decline this time. I should probably ask Shara and Tita before committing to anything. We've got Ren, too. That's true. It sounds like she loves the castle. I shall keep the rooms ready in case you wish to stay. Thanks, Hilda. Thank you, Hilda. Not at all. I must return to the maid quarters. Please, let me know if you need anything else. If you'll pardon me. Okay, so we still need to meet with the Queen. She should be in her chambers, right? Yes, I'd be surprised if she isn't. Let us not keep her waiting then. Alright, let's go see Her Majesty. Luckily, Queen Alicia's super cool. And she's like the best national leader in this series. So talking to her is not very difficult. This is where we fought some intelligence divisions bros there. We fought Dunnan and some other intelligence division guys here, and then made our way up over to the Queen's Chambers, and eventually fought Lawrence. In this exact same spot? No, it's the room after this. Ah, you finally arrived. Huh? Grandmother? Oh, this is the balcony. Cool. And Sieg's here. Sweet! But Sieg? I see. Sieg was being thoughtful, wasn't he? Yes, he let me know you were coming. Welcome home, Claudia. And Estelle, you are always welcome so long as I remain queen. Your father explained everything not long after you left to train. It pains me to know you carry such a burden. Oh, thank you very much, Your Majesty. Still, I know what I gotta do, and Chloe's been a huge help. So I'm okay, don't worry. I see. Your soul has gained new steel since we last met, Estelle. Mr. Vatek and Mr. Linheim, both of you, of course, are also welcome in my home. Let us retire to my chambers. I shall have some tea prepared. Ah, so you've come about the letters. I wasn't aware they had been sent to the cathedral and the embassies as well. Your fears are not groundless. It is difficult to think of such lengths as a mere childish prank. Yes, Your Highness. That's why we're trying to talk to people affiliated to the case, to see if we can find some clues. Grandmother, do you have any idea who might be responsible? Especially someone within Liberl. Claudia, what do you think? Me? As a possible heir, your thoughts should daily be on the forces moving within our nation. Would you share your opinion with me? Very well. I don't believe there is any force in the country which is truly opposed to the pact. I've heard in various places, however, that following the coup, some of our extreme right-wing citizens are feeling very concerned. Their frustrations might be at the root of these letters. Maybe. Very good. My opinion is more or less the same. Sorry, but I don't quite follow. Colonel Richard was not the only man who approved of the idea of expanding and empowering our military. In the wake of the failed coup, however, the matter is effectively untouchable. I can only imagine all who share his mindset are quite dissatisfied and worried for our safety. Okay, so you think the letters are from believers in military control and expansion? Like the intelligence division guys still on the run? That would be the short of it, yes. If that is the case, then I would say I bear the responsibility for this as much as they. It was my beliefs that led them to take such actions in the first place, after all. Grandmother, I don't know. I don't think they have the right to be all blah, let's threaten people and be scary because we're sore losers. No, there are few things more precious than the freedom to express oneself, Estelle. Remember, even those who promote military empowerment and a war footing do so out of a love for Liberl and its people. They have as much right to express that idea as any of us have ours. And listening to all such opinions and choosing how to guide the country, that is a ruler's responsibility. Though, in that case, I rather doubt they'll actually try to stop the ceremony, yes? Assuming the letter is from the expansionists, yes, that's quite possible. With Colonel Richard under arrest, they have little power with which to act. The problem lies with the idea that someone else may be responsible. If that is the case, then I fear I can offer you little advice or knowledge. Ah, rats. Queen Alicia, if I may broach a question. Of course, Olivier. Whatever you wish. Why are you so determined to act upon this non-aggression pact now? Your own country is still deeply confused and unsettled from the coup attempt. Most rulers would think this is a time to focus solely on one's own country, not the affairs of others. Olivier, you are talking to a queen, you know. It's alright, Estelle. Olivier has a point. The plans and proposals for the pact, however, far predate the coup. Further delays would only harm the dignity of the nation. The cross-spell issue is causing a great deal of friction again as well, and I hope this can help. Boom. I think that's the first time that phrase is used. The cross-bell issue. And the fact that one of the big reasons this pact is coming about is the fact that Erebonia and Calvert cannot agree about Crossbell, the independent city-state that lies literally sandwiched between them, which is very, very small even compared to Liberl. I don't know, Crossbell might be the size of the Grand Cell region plus maybe like half the Rolent region. It's not very big, though the city itself is very large, but the state itself is not very much. And both Erebonia and Calvert would like to think that they own Crossbell. Crossbell? That's where Ren's from, isn't it? Yes, it lies due northeast of here, over the Crone Mountains and directly between Erebonia and Calvert. Both the Republic and the Empire claim it should be part of their governments, and some Crossbellans want total independence. It's quite a mess. Crossbell's basically a fishbone stuck in two throats at once. All the issues surrounding it just get called the Crossbell problem. I see. Boy, no wonder people get worked up about it then. So your aim is to pluck out the bone with this pact then? To continue the analogy, it is not a bone that can be removed in one gesture, sadly. If I can open a way to resolve the issue, however, yes. Laying the groundwork for resolving that issue will strengthen peace across the entire region, and people will remember Liberl spurred it on. I have underestimated you even more than I previously thought. Our invasion of Liberl was far more of a fool's errand than I even imagined. That much, at least, is painfully obvious to me now. What are you going on about? Oh, wait! Crossbell, Ren, duh! Sorry to change the subject, Your Majesty, but Estelle asked Queen Alicia about Ren's parents. My goodness, a child abandoned at the royal villa? I must instruct Raymond to keep me better informed, it seems. I know it's a shot in the dark, but I don't suppose you have any idea where they might be, Your Majesty. No, I am very sorry, but I do not. However, if they visited the castle especially recently, Hilda would know of it. Have you spoken with her? Yeah, we did. Hilda only said they were behaving a little strangely. I see. Well, should you wish, I can contact Mayor McDowell and the Crossbell government. If that would help, ask whenever you need. Oh, thanks. Grandmother, thank you for all your help. We need to move on, unfortunately. But, don't be nervous. I know what you wish to say, I think. You will be staying in the castle tonight, yes? Let us speak then, once you are no longer busy. Alright. My goddess, such royalty. I would say she's the only person on the continent with that sense of balance. Yeah, sort of feels weird to say coming from a democracy, but she's the perfect ruler. I kinda envy Liberl, to be honest. Of course. She's the queen after all. Chloe? What's wrong? Oh, it's nothing. I was just struck again by how incredible a woman grandmother is. I really doubt I can ever live up to her. Oh. Princess. When did Her Majesty the Queen take the throne? Oh, she was 20, if I recall correctly. And may I ask your age? I'm 16, but what? My point. I truly doubt Her Majesty was a master politician the day she took the throne. And you are not yet even as old as she was when she first donned the purple. I see little point in comparing yourself to her as she is now, wouldn't you agree? We martial artists tend to say that only those with the proper capacity can achieve this thing called unity of purpose. Even those with the greatest innate skill, like, say, Walter, only reach their peak through a journey of 1,000 steps. I think Her Majesty believes you have the capacity to get there, Princess. Just take it one step at a time. Don't worry. Olivier, Zen, thank you, really. Good job, you two. Chloe's going to be an awesome queen someday. I guess you get good with pep talks as you get older, huh? Get older? How rude. I'm a fresh, youthful 25. 5 years younger than Zen here, even. You're one to call out someone on being rude, Olivier. Well, anyway, You've spoken to Hilda and grandmother both. Yep, back to town then, I guess. Yes, let's be off. Alright, out of the castle we go. Ooh, that was a fun conversation with Her Majesty. Ooh, I liked it very, very much. It's even more interesting for me coming back a second time through the series. There's even more in there than I originally thought there was. Where's the exit? It's over here. I guess there. I was like, why does that carpet go all the way out to the balcony? I was like, oh, it's so she can address people. I imagine that part is viewable from the street level. I don't know. You don't really get a good look at Granzel Castle from this view. Alright, so next stop we need to head over to the east side of town and hit up the embassies. Let's see, I think which one is which? We are next to, this is the Erebonian one, and down to the south side is the Calvardian one. Let's do the Calvardian one first. Hey, how goes? Huh? Zen? Holy crap. Wasting time in Liberalville again? Hey, that's a little insulting. Don't make fun of us because we're from Liberal. Something like that. Thought I'd say hello to Elsa, and I have something I need to talk to her about. Is she in? Well, I haven't seen her leave, so I guess she's around. So, who's with you? Gotta ask, policy. Oh, they're helping me with some guild work. I'm gonna introduce them to Elsa. Huh, well, okay. If they're with you, Zen, I guess I can let them in. So, welcome to the Calvardian Embassy. Oh, do keep in mind that the embassy hall is Calvard soil. Calvard and Liberal are still friends, but still, keep your noses clean, eh? You hear that, Olivier? And again, my heart is assaulted with arrows. How little trust you have in me. Yeah, don't mention the fact that Ollie's Erebonian. They might not like that. Ooh, this place is pretty. This is like the most Calvard location anywhere. Oh, magnificent. Wow, this is the Calvardian Embassy? I didn't expect it to be quite so fancy. And yet it's a bit exotic as well. I really like it. Well, quite a few people from even farther east have settled in Calvard, They've had an impact on our culture too. Anyway, Elsa's office is the furthest room on the second floor. Alrighty. Well, I say that oh, this is the most Calvardian place anywhere. It's not quite true. There's quite a bit of Calvard influence in Crossbell. But still, this is a nice look, especially because as of today, there's not a Calvard game yet. Obviously, that's coming in the future sometime. Someday. This shelf holds the Dull Knight series. You can read the entire fucking thing. Awesome. Guess what we're doing next time? Screw you. Oh my god, the entire series is in this fucking room. Oh my god. I am overwhelmed by Dull Knight stuff. So, I've never read that book either. Oh, and you are... Why, if it isn't Zen. Counselor, a pleasure. All together here? Are they your guests? Yes, they're co-workers with the guild. Are you here about the threat letter? It's as you guessed. It's a request from the Royal Army. Do you have any ideas? Threat letters like that aren't exactly rare in the Republic. To be honest, I barely paid it any heed at all. True, there are a lot of radical groups in the country. Yes, they always cause trouble when the issue of immigration comes up. Well, this time at least I can't say anything. Why don't you see what Ambassador Cochrane thinks first? Yes, we'll go do that right now, if you'll pardon us. Let's continue to talk to people in here. Holy shit, there's a lot of good information inside this building. I'm an idiot for not talking to people the first time I came through here. Zen? Hey, I'm back. I might end up borrowing a room, so I'll be in your care if that happens. Of course. I'll have everything squeaky clean for you. Anyone else? Was there a guy in the room with the... Yeah, there's a woman here. My. Is that hulk of a man over there, Zen? I don't even need to see your face to know. Hey. Are you seriously going to judge based on my body size? I thought you were a bear when we first met. My. Jeez. Okay, so not as interesting as the first one was. There are more side rooms? There sure are. Let's poke into these. Nothing, so these are guest rooms. Who are you? Residing Officer Yakumo. Oh, we're getting Eastern influence, baby. Oh, Zin, come to La Pearl again? Hey, Yakumo. It seems I'll be here for a while again. You seem pretty busy yourself. Of course we are. After all, we've got a pact signing approaching. Sorry, but I won't have time to bother with you for a while. Alright, let's pop in here. Create a save file. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll figure it out. We're gonna read the Dull Night series, though. Let me just open the first one, see how long it is. Okay, 4 pages. 3 pages. Okay, they're pretty short, but there is 20 of them? 22 of them? Okay, I super lied. We're gonna read the Dull Night right now. It's a different session for me, but I was like, just tack it on to the end of the last one, rather than front load the next video. So let's read these. This shelf holds the Dull Night series. Chapter 1. The Puppeteer's Apprentice. Long, long ago, in a certain little village, there lived a young boy. He was some 13 years old. His name was Pedro. Pedro was a small boy, not very strong, but his fingers were dexterous enough to astonish anyone. When he moved his whittling knife, wooden blocks would turn into birds and wonderful creatures as if by magic. The boy spent his days with these crafts as his life. One day, strange travelers came by the village. An old man with sharp eyes and a large man in black garb casually strolled into the general store, whereupon their eyes were drawn to a wooden bird so cunningly carved that one could almost hear its wings beat the air. It was Pedro's latest creation. After inquiring with the owner of the general store, the old man and his escort came upon the little house where Pedro lived. And the first words they had for him were, "Prepare your things, we're leaving for the city." Pedro's eyes widened in shock at the order. "What is this?" he cried. "Who are you people? Any?" His eyes fell on the large man in black. Pedro's words caught in his throat. The old man chuckled. "So you did notice. I thought you would." From the old man's fingers stretched transparent threads. He gestured and the black-garbed man bowed gracefully. The immense man was a clockwork puppet. "He is the Black Priest," the old man said. "My finest work." His wrinkled face creased further as he smiled slyly. He was the famous master Capri Oratoria, a puppeteer known throughout Welt Luna. Oratoria fixed Pedro with a beady eye. "You could craft something even greater than this. Doesn't the mere thought excite you?" No more words were needed. Tossing his carving knife into a sack, Pedro fixed his cap on his head and greeted his new master by saying farewell to his old home. Chapter 2. The Blue Night. The years passed swiftly for Pedro at Oratoria's workshop on the outskirts of the capital. Under the tutelage of puppeteer Capri, he learned the techniques to build clockwork puppets and the skills to make them dance and perform. After 3 years of training, he completed his own masterpiece, a doll of noble bearing dressed in armor with a gleaming blue helm. If Capri's masterwork, the Black Priest, was a martial arts type focused on maneuverability, then Pedro's blue puppet was well-balanced swordsman. Its counterattacks as it turned aside the Black Priest's punches and kicks were the very image of a graceful knight. "What will you call it?" Capri asked. Pedro had no answer. He had been so focused in its creation that he hadn't actually thought of one. Ultimately, it would come to be called the Blue Knight before he could name it. It was sometime after Pedro constructed the Blue Knight that the king who ruled the city would pass on from their world. The king had been long ill, so there was little shock, and the mourning period passed smoothly. And so, in accordance with the law, the king's only daughter, Princess Tia, would ascend to the throne as queen. Chapter 3. On the Road Home. Pedro visited the city accompanied by the Blue Knight. With the crowning ceremony approaching, the streets were abuzz with excitement. As he strolled the city center, people passing by cast strange looks his way. What a noble knight he must be. I'm sure he must be quite the famous hero. Do you suppose he's attending the crowning ceremony? Trailing quietly behind the Blue Knight, Pedro could hardly keep himself from doing a little dance. It felt like a step towards Capri, who could control the Black Priest as if it was human itself. Of course, at the same time, he found it annoying that others thought him the servant of his own creation. It was on his way back to the workshop outside of the town that Pedro's humming was interrupted by a scream. "No, please stop," cried a voice from the woods. "Heh, no one's gonna save you," a man growled. "Give up and give in." From the looks of things, some thuggish men had a girl cornered. Dainty and clad in a white dress, the girl's searching eyes sought desperately for a way to flee from the danger. Pedro squared his shoulders, and lowering his cap to shadow his eyes, he set his fingers in motion. The Blue Knight charged forward. A righteous display. Upon seeing the Blue Knight appear like a shadow from the heart of the forest, the men harassing the girl could only gape in amazement. "Leave the girl and leave this place," the Blue Knight declared from the depths of its helmet. This was the ventriloquism that the old master had drilled into his head as a secret of puppeteering. Who the hell are you? Get out of here before you get hurt." Fools. With a jab from its clockwork fist, the Blue Knight knocked back the man holding the woman and pivoted swiftly to kick both men away. "Are you hurt, young lady?" "No, I am well." "Good. 'Twould be best if you stood back." At last the Blue Knight drew its sword. Swathed in black, a third man who seemed like the leader approached. Not bad for a wanderer. Pedro eyed the new arrival. The black-garbed man's stance suggested he knew something of proper swordsmanship. "Enough playing, though. Hand over the girl, and I'll see you rewarded." "To ignore one's duties is to be without courage. I fear I cannot do that," said the Blue Knight. "Well then, die!" screamed the black-garbed man and attacked. Chapter 5. The Girl with Sky Blue Eyes. The man in black attacked. From the upper right, he feinted as if to strike the shoulder, but twisted his wrist and changed to a slash across the body. Pedro, having read the feint, pulled at its strings. The Blue Knight stepped back a half step, dodging the horizontal slash, then smacked the outstretched blade, knocking it from his foe's hands. Impossible! The black-garbed man rubbed his numb hand, and paled as the Blue Knight shifted slightly. As if it was a sign, the thugs turned and scattered like baby spiders. The girl gave a sigh of relief and curtsied. "Thank you very much." She was still a bit shaky, but her manner was that of a noble woman. It is the duty of every knight to protect, pay it no mind. Are you from foreign lands, perhaps?" Suddenly Pedro was struck with a moment of whimsy. "I am a touring knight, Pedro. The boy there is my servant," he made the puppet reply. "Huh?" The girl finally seemed to notice him. She faced him with an expression of bewilderment. However, Pedro was no less surprised. Indeed, his shock was many, many times greater than hers. Cool turquoise blue eyes, that familiar, achingly lovely form. It was the same girl he had seen at the ceremonies and from the balcony of the palace. "Your Highness?" he blurted. The girl wrapped in pure white was the very girl who had lost her father and was to be crowned in the capital. It was Princess Tia. Chapter 6. The Melancholy of the Princess. "Would you be willing to guard me for these 2 weeks until the crowning ceremony?" In the royal throne room, Princess Tia asked this question with a serious expression. Of course, she asked, if not of Pedro, but of the Blue Knight. "Have you not a royal guard? Surely you would be far better off with them as your protectors." Unable to say that the Blue Knight was a puppet, Pedro followed as far as the throne room. He shivered, sensing even more trouble about to come. "The royal guard that protect the capital they obey the words of my uncle, Duke Gaston. Even before, they abandoned me and fled," Princess Tia said softly. Duke Gaston was a man surrounded by bad rumors. It was an open secret that he took advantage of the previous king's illness to line his own purse. "The man in black you confronted, Sir Pedro, I am sure that was my uncle's second in command. All of it was planned." Princess Tia's sky-blue eyes clouded. At this point, the kindly Pedro could hardly refuse the role of escort. "Understood. I shall accept your request," he had the Blue Knight reply. Princess Tia's smile was like the sun breaking through the clouds. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much." She turned towards Pedro as well. "And you too, good servant. May I ask your name?" Pedro hid his eyes once more in the shadow of his cap. "I'm no one worthy of naming myself. Chapter 7, Turbulent Days. Protecting the princess proved harder than predicted. After all, almost every day there were new ne'er-do-wells sent after her. Eventually, partially due to their closeness in age, Princess Tia and Pedro, still playing the servant, came to speak very openly to each other. While glad for the princess's trust, he didn't know what he would do if the truth of the Blue Knight came out. Pedro was beside himself with worry. On the other side of the city, a letter was delivered to a certain puppet shop. What is the boy doing? Guessing the circumstances from the very vague statements in Pedro's letter, Capri sighed and gave a bitter smile. However, perhaps this is a good chance, he mused. Pedro was ever bright and straight as an arrow, yet his thoughts were always of puppets. Partially due to living outside the city, he had no friends he could call close, and yet it hardly seemed as if he felt lonely for it. While the role of escort to the princess was perhaps beyond his station, if it proved a chance to awaken more human feelings in his apprentice, Capri could only wish him the best with a parent's heart. Chapter 8. What Makes the Darkness Shake. The girl has the devil's own luck. In a dim room lit by flickering candle flames, Duke Gaston cursed hatefully. He felt not a moment of sympathy or care for his niece. At this rate she shall see the crowning ceremony, he snarled. This night, Pedro, can't we handle him? He's the first man so skilled that we've encountered. We fear that even if the royal guard attacked at once, it might be difficult. Recalling the shame of having his sword knocked from his hands, Duke Gaston's second-in-command bit his lip. Still, we have nothing to fear, he said. While a bit of an odd character, we have hired a skilled assassin to handle this, my lord. Odd? What sort of person is he? Haha, did you call? The flames danced bewitchingly, then went out as one. As if something tremendously heavy had collapsed down onto it, the carpeted floor shook with the thud. Who is it? Duke Gaston took a step back. The shadow illuminated by the moon was tremendous and inhuman. My lord, fear not. This is our assassin, Harlequin. He will remove all that is in your way with his puppet. The assassin sketched a mocking bow. Haha, I do love hunting. I don't take jobs unless the prey's lively. A sickening laugh shook the darkness, bringing a nasty smile to the Duke's face as well. Worry not. I am sure your hunt will be most enjoyable. And so did the night, bathed in red by crimson moon, fade to dawn, melting like ice. Chapter 9, Afternoon in the Lesser Palace. Afternoon in the palace began with a tea party in the gardens. The princess, as always, filled 3 cups with black tea from the pot. Please enjoy your tea. My thanks, the Blue Knight intoned. Thank you very much, Pedro said. Pedro moved the Blue Knight with his left hand as he sipped the tea made by the princess. It was the happiest moment in their otherwise busy days. Good servant, you really seem to enjoy your tea. It makes it very worth the effort for the one who made it. You are too kind. Smiling bitterly, Pedro pulled his strings. The Blue Knight in one go emptied the tea in the cup into the leather sack in his neck. At this, Princess Tia could only sigh. Whereas Sir Pedro here seems to hardly find it delicious at all. It makes it difficult to be motivated. Pardon me, I fear I am an impolite man. In his heart, Pedro felt a nervous edge, but the Blue Knight answered with an ever-calm face. There had been countless moments where it seemed as if everything would be revealed, but Princess Tia showed no signs of doubting the truth of the Blue Knight. The princess smiled faintly, but her expression quickly turned somber. I suppose it doesn't matter. These fun afternoons will end tomorrow. After the crowning ceremony the following day, you shall both leave the city after all. Chapter 10, A Faint Pain. At the princess's lonely words, Pedro's heart beat fast as a drum. I fear I am a man on the path of the warrior, so... My apologies, the Blue Knight said. No, I should apologize. I shall hardly make much of a queen like this. The princess shook herself and smiled brightly. Forgetting to control the puppet, Pedro ducked his head to hide the longing on his face. He would have loved to stay as her guard. Though she might have been of noble birth, Princess Tia was a lonely girl who had lost her father. However, she had been speaking not of the servant like Pedro, but of the Blue Knight. To the princess, Pedro was simply part of the package. Thinking that made his chest hurt somehow. It was a pain such as he'd never felt when he was handling his puppets. Ultimately, Pedro had chosen, even if it meant saddening the princess, to flee from this unbearable pain in his chest. would you like a second cup? As if to clear the heavy atmosphere, the princess offered the pot with a smile. Ooh, that does sound good. Mind giving me a cup? With an unnerving laugh, a shadow leapt in. What? A sudden gust tore through the garden, sending the tea set flying off the table. Crimson wings beat the air as an immense puppet in the form of a devil fell to the earth. Sorry for interrupting your lovely tea party, tittered a voice. Would you mind playing with me for a bit? On the devil's left arm was a human figure. It was the masked puppeteer, Harlequin. I'll make sure it's plenty of fun, he giggled. Chapter 11, The Devil's Attack. Lady Tia, stand back! Pedro, shielding the princess behind him, sent the Blue Knight forward toward the Crimson Devil's right arm. It was a blind spot for the masked puppeteer. With a rapid turn, the knight let loose a heavy strike. The tip of the sword was swallowed up in the base of the creature's wing. The demon's right arm flashed up. Blade and claw scraped, sending sparks into the air. Losing its balance, the Blue Knight took an unsteady step back. The demon gave a shiver, and a barbed tail thick as a log screamed through the air, striking forward. Astonished by the technique, Pedro snapped the Blue Knight back, dodging the tail swipe. Oh, you are good. I didn't think you were in the same business. The masked puppeteer spoke not to the Blue Knight, but to Pedro. The Blue Knight, as if to interrupt these words, pointed its sword at the puppeteer. What nonsense are you speaking? If you shall not come, then shall I strike first? Even now, Pedro tried to hide it. Princess Tia, with a confused expression, gazed upon the preceding events. I see. So that's how it is. The masked puppeteer, as if suddenly realizing the situation, laughed softly. My. Well, let no one call me rude. If you'd rather not share, I'll stay quiet. But you know. The puppeteer's voice dipped low and was tinged with a roiling darkness. If you don't even have that much guts, then even thinking you can win against my calamity is naive. Chapter 12, The Crimson Demon. The demon doll Calamity kicked the ground and launched itself into the air, closing the gap in an instant. Pedro reacted just a moment too slow. So intent was he on not wanting the princess to notice. It was the tiniest of openings. It was one that would prove fatal. First, the sword was knocked from Clockwork's hands. Then, the claws continued to dig in, cutting through the blue armor like butter. Oh my, what's wrong? The tail whipped in, encircling the Blue Knight. With a twitch of the puppeteer's fingers, the tail tightened, crushing both the knight's arms. Got you. The claws grabbed the Blue Knight by its feathered helm and lifted it up off of its feet. Stop! The first puppet he made, that he'd put so much effort into, was being torn to pieces. Pedro lost himself for a moment and ran forward. You are so impatient. No need to worry. I was going to give him back. The Crimson Demon held the Blue Knight high and threw it down towards Pedro. Ugh! The Blue Knight crashed into Pedro and bowled him over. He lay in a crumpled heap upon the lawn under the body of the puppet. Please stop! The princess stepped between the fallen pair and the masked puppeteer. Her arms spread wide. I offer myself to you. In return, I command you to cease the senseless violence. Chapter 13, Saying Goodbye. I offer myself to you. In return, I command you to cease the senseless violence. At Princess Tia's bold words, the puppeteer licked his lips loudly. You'd offer yourself in place of your guard? Why, you bring tears to my eyes, princess. You mustn't, Lady Tia. Barely conscious, Pedro desperately tried to put words together. He had not the energy to use ventriloquism. My master, Pedro is fine. Leave it to him. Hurry, run. Sir Pedro, silence. At the prince's angry words, Pedro managed to open his eyes fully, for those words were addressed most surely to he, still garbed and acting the servant. You knew. I'm sorry, I pretended not to notice. The princess smiled in a sad, lonely way, then turned to the puppeteer again with a dignified expression. Now, take me to my uncle. My, oh my, what a princess you are. I bet you would have made quite the queen, too. The demon slowly stretched out its right arm. When the princess stepped on, it began to beat its crimson wings. Sir Pedro, thank you so much. This last week was very fun. These words of goodbye sunk into his brain. As he watched the scarlet shadow be swallowed into the blue sky, Pedro's consciousness slowly faded into darkness. Chapter 14. The Cost of Deceit. The next morning when Pedro opened his eyes, he found himself in his room at the doll workshop. Safe on his familiar, firm bed, he felt a rush of relief. It had all been a dream. Capri called out from the workshop, "Oh, how are you feeling?" Pedro craned his neck. On the workbench in the back, he glimpsed disassembled blue parts spread out across the wood. He leaped up, panicked. It wasn't a dream. It seemed Capri had used the Black Priest to bring Pedro in the broken form of the Blue Knight back from the castle. It's my fault. Pedro's eyes trailed over his former masterpiece, now reduced to junk. His memory then trailed back over cool turquoise blue eyes, a warm smile like a ray of sunlight, and fine fingers pouring black tea. Pedro ground his lip between his teeth. The Blue Knight wasn't good enough. If I had any talent as a puppeteer, I would have been able to protect Princess Tia. It seems you still don't understand, Capri muttered. His face took on a rare expression of severity. What you lack is here. In a forceful motion, he jabbed his finger against Pedro's chest. Pedro could only blink in shock. Chapter 15. A Little Decision. Her Highness knew the truth of the Blue Knight, and yet she chose to pretend not to. Do you really not understand why? Because, unexpectedly, in the depth of his mind, he had a flash of insight. Sir Pedro, silence, she said, and then I pretended not to notice. He recalled the sad, lonely smile she gave him when she revealed it. Something hot boiled up inside his chest. Pedro raised his head and fixed Capri with an intense gaze. Master, I beg of you, help me repair the Blue Knight. The man studied his face. The masked puppeteer you fought is a man feared like a demon in our trade. A half-baked man can't hope to match him. Do you understand? Even so, I will, for the person who believed in me. When he said this, Capri smiled broadly, as if something grand had just fallen in his lap. It was the day before the crowning ceremony. At the palace, the prince's absence had been noticed, and the royal keep fell into uproar from top to bottom. Chapter 16. The Duke's Private Manor. On the outskirts of the capital, in Duke Gaston's manor, Princess Tia sat in a lush room carpeted in deep crimson. It's perfect for you, princess. With a satisfied expression, Duke Gaston glared at his bound prisoner. What do you intend to do about the crowning ceremony today? Princess Tia asked in a quiet voice. The Duke shrunk a bit under her icy gaze. I'm afraid you will be absent, and so the throne and staff will be offered to me, the second in line. Do you believe the people will accept you? To change the subject, Tia, I have found someone willing to accept you as a bride. Seeing the sky-colored waver for a moment, the Duke smiled with renewed confidence. He is the second imperial son, and quite the connection. The Duke's smile widened. While you learn the joys of womanhood in a new land, you can leave the rest to me. It was a cowardly plan. Certainly it wasn't a scenario that would be accepted for the Duke to take the throne in place of the first heir. However, it was different if the princess were to marry. If that were to pass, anyone could see that Duke Gaston's ascent to the throne was all but a done deal. My lord, it is about time. At his second-in-command's comment, the Duke stood. I am sure you are quite tired from the daily attacks. Take the chance to rest and recover. The Duke gave a chuckle at his own shamelessness and left the room. At that moment, that won't be happening. There was a tremendous crash, and a glass window exploded into glittering powder. Chapter 17. And so the boy becomes a man. Like a graceful leopard, a tall knight clad in blue armor leapt through the window. Following behind him was a small boy wearing a cap. Princess Tia, I'm sorry. I know I'm a bit late, he said. Sir Pedro. So you did come after all. A tremulous smile floated onto the princess's face. Somewhat embarrassed, the boy returned the smile. Their eyes locked and words unsaid passed between them. Hey, there is a time and place for things. The Duke, having been completely ignored, was sputtering in anger. As the Duke seethed, his second-in-command was stealthily sneaking up on the still-bound princess. He reached out his hand for the princess's shoulder. The Blue Knight leapt forward like a bolt from a crossbow. Blah! The pitiable second-in-command, having taken a direct punch from the Blue Knight, collapsed against the wall, unconscious. That's a bit much. Duke Gaston, now white as a sheet, fled the room in a stumbling lurch. Princess Tia, let us hurry. Your crowning ceremony begins soon, Pedro said. Yes. Escaping the manse, the two were pursued by the Duke and his guard. However, as if to obstruct their path, a scarlet shadow fell down, shaking the ground. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to get in your way. I'm afraid thoroughness is the #1 part of being a puppeteer after all. The way he spoke made it hard to believe it was just a job. It was the masked puppeteer, Harlequin, and the Crimson Demon doll, Calamity. Chapter 18. The Duel Between Red and Blue. White blade met deadly claw. Blue and red twisted about in a blinding fashion. The cover to the fight had been cleaved off. Oh, you're moving better, Harlequin exclaimed. Surprisingly, the Blue Knight's movements were just a little bit faster than that of the Crimson Devil puppet, Calamity. I broke it all to pieces too, but to fix it back up in just one day, looks like the old man found himself a good apprentice. You know my master? Harlequin twirled his fingers and Calamity fluttered its wings and slowly lifted into the sky. We have a bit of a history, yes, he giggled. But forget about that. What'll you do about this? As he howled these words, the red puppet swooped down. Pedro pulled his strings back, and the Blue Knight narrowly avoided the grasping claws. Or this. Smooth as the flowing water, Calamity sent out its log-like tail to swipe at the knight. Pedro's threads flowed down and to the right. Dropping its center of gravity, the Blue Knight shifted its sword to a slant and redirected the force of the tail upwards. Or this! Calamity swung its horned head around and charged straight for the Blue Knight's torso. Pedro snapped his threads upwards, and to his left this time. The Blue Knight, who had let itself fall slightly back, now slashed its sword down in a blur of blue light. With a small, pleasant cracking sound, the crimson wing on the right side of the puppet was hewn straight off. Chapter 19. Red Hot Roar. Slightly panicked, the masked puppeteer wrenched back on the strings and put space between himself and the Blue Knight. Hey, how about we call it a draw here? Knowing it was hopeless, Pedro still offered. As he expected, a happy voice called back. Now, don't make bad jokes like that. It's been too long since I've had this much fun after all. Seemingly drunk on warped joy, Harlequin twisted his hands about in a complex motion. It looked almost as if he were drawing magic circles in the air. I didn't think I'd end up using this, he giggled. Calamity crossed both arms across its body, as if holding itself. Slowly, a burning scent filled the air. A cold chill ran down Pedro's spine. He set to moving the Blue Knight, but realized the princess was behind it. You can regret it in your next life, Harlequin screamed. The Crimson Demon took an imposing stance. Its massive jaw creaked. There was a rushing of air, and then a ball of brilliant flame spewed forth. The area was engulfed in a violent pillar of swirling fire. The Blue Knight, Pedro, and the princess were all swallowed by the inferno. So that's it, is it? Guess it was kind of a pity to end it there, huh? Gazing at the roaring flames, Harlequin muttered regretfully. However, his eyes soon narrowed, puzzled. No scent of meat roasting or metal melting reached his nose. What? The crimson maelstrom began to swirl faster, and the center suddenly parted as if blown apart from the wind. From the middle rose a blue twister. Chapter 20. The Whereabouts of the Death Match. From within the flame, the Blue Knight arose. Across its shoulder, Pedro and Princess Tia could be seen clinging hale and hearty. What had blown away the raging flames was its tremendous two-handed sword. Spinning the enormous blade like a whirlwind, a butterfly made of flame danced above the Blue Knight's head. It was a fantastical scene. You think that'll work? Harlequin began gesturing again. It seemed he intended to launch another fireball. I won't let you, Pedro cried. Splitting through the wall of flames, the Blue Knight forced its way forward. In the next moment, Calamity's horned head was cleaved perfectly in two. Absolutely wonderful. The fireball, moments from release, puffed up with the crimson puppet and caused a small explosion. Flung by the shockwave, the Blue Knight was tossed into the air. Pedro braced both legs and managed to catch it. Sir Pedro, are you all right? I'm fine, yeah, but I don't think there's any saving him. Though Harlequin may have been a foe, his was still a life that had been taken. Pedro felt the guilt of such a deed strike him. Princess Tia, seeing Pedro so troubled, enveloped him in her arms. I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't kill me off so easily, said a whispering voice from inside the pillar of flames. The voice seemed somehow satisfied. I applaud your efforts, young man. I'll back down nicely this time. Looking forward to when we next meet. The ground shook and a red-black shadow launched skyward and disappeared from sight. Pedro and the princess looked at one another and burst into relieved laughter. Chapter 21. The Dollmaster's Purpose. The boy, the girl, and one puppet left for the capital on light feet, while the masked puppeteer fled into the deep forest riding his scorched creation. Stopping suddenly, the masked puppeteer spoke to the shadows in the trees. You're there, aren't you, old man? Noticed me, did you? Pedro's master Capri stepped out from the cover of the trees. As always, the black priest was with him, but it was a curious sight, for the puppet had no arms. As I thought, you fixed the blue puppet's arms with parts from the black priest. No wonder it moves so well. Well, the gap between you and Pedro was a bit too much after all. I took it upon myself to give him a helping hand. Harlequin's shoulders sunk in response to the words of the old puppet master. Well, I don't mind since I had fun, but if and when the 13 factories find out about this, I don't think Pedro will have it too easy either, do you? The 13 factories. The moment he heard those disturbing words, Capri's expression darkened. Well then, see you soon. Leaving behind a suppressed laugh, the masked puppeteer disappeared into the deep forest. It is a road all puppeteers must pass. The old puppet master muttered in a quiet voice, almost as if he was telling it to himself. Final chapter, A Moment's Rest. Afternoon in the palace began with a tea party in the gardens. The princess, as always, filled 3 cups with black tea from the pot. Please enjoy your tea. Thank you very much, Pedro said. Behind the boy sipping tea stood a knight armored in blue. However, he had not a word to say. What happened to the Duke in the end? On the night of the crowning ceremony, Duke Gaston had disappeared with his vassals. After all, his plan had been foiled, and the Queen successfully crowned before countless countrymen. The royal guard, whose allegiance had been questionable before the coronation, fell to their knees in contrition and swore their loyalty to the new queen. The Duke, before he could be held for the crime of abducting the princess, understandably chose to flee the country. My uncle has chosen to entrust himself to the Empire. Apparently he sought protection from the imperial prince that he had arranged as a husband for me. The queen smiled slightly. However, it seems as if they consider him something of a pest. I feel a bit sorry for him. Pedro was amazed. They do not deserve your sympathy. In truth, Pedro did not think Duke Gaston would back down easily. And what of the machinations of that foul-masked puppeteer Harlequin? Capri, Pedro's teacher, seemed to know the jester, but simply dodged any questions about him with frustrating vagueness. Regardless, Pedro knew another battle would come, and soon. He would have to upgrade the Blue Knight if he hoped to emerge victorious. Oh, Pedro. A slightly irritated yet comforting voice snapped Pedro from his reverie. Do you wish for your tea to grow cold? The clear blue eyes which met his own carried their own message. It will be all right. Pedro, a little embarrassed, took his tea and drank deeply. It was enough to simply have this moment with her. The end. There you go. That's the Doll Knight series. Now I know what Kevin feels like reading this entire book to the orphans. So, without delving too deep into it, this is, of course, still Trails. That's the game we're playing. And every fictional book in Trails has more meaning than meets the eye. And I did see it in there, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. Maybe someday. Alright, see you guys in the next one for real this time.